The Drew Aller era began with Penn State this weekend, and we already saw a reason why he is better than Sean Clifford. And that's not to say Sean Clifford didn't do a lot of things for Penn State, but we saw some things from Drew Aller that there are things that Sean Clifford just can't do, and it's just strictly from a talent level. And yes, it's probably an overreaction to say that Drew Aller is better because he beat West Virginia, but we can't just say that's West Virginia, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. The first thing that I think you point out is the red zone struggles. Early in the first half, I think that Penn State had a number of good drives that didn't end in touchdowns, and they should have. This offense just sputtered, but it's also week one. So you should expect some of those things. You expect some of those shortcomings and those struggles. And then it's just a matter of how do you fix those going forward? Because I mean, you have to give credit to West Virginia. They did everything that they could to keep this game close. And in the end, they just weren't the more talented team. And Penn State flexed the muscles a little bit more, and they were able to do what they wanted to do. But West Virginia's defense, you honestly have to tip your cap to them because they made life difficult for Penn State at times. Now, Penn State obviously made a number of big plays and they pulled away in the end, but West Virginia is going to be tough. And if Neil Brown goes out, he is going out with a fight. He is going down with a team that is going to make life difficult for anybody they face, and that includes Penn State. Now, Drew Aller played a huge role in today's game, and the first pass, we're just going to talk about the first pass right now. His first touchdown pass, he's dropping back to pass. There's pressure on him. He stays calm in the pocket, eventually steps up, and he doesn't look to run right away. He is still keeping his eyes downfield, and he makes a throw 30, 40 yards downfield, throws a rope. And it wasn't like this guy was wide open either. There was a defender there. He throws it where only his guy can get it on the run with pressure and completes it for a touchdown pass. So he's already done stuff that Sean Clifford can't do. And it's just one of the many things that we'll talk about this year. That's what's the difference between Penn State's offense now and what it was before. And it's going to be Drew Aller's ability to make plays that Sean Clifford couldn't. Penn State's defense also showed why it will be a big factor and one of the best in college football. And Garrett Green is definitely going to be sore tomorrow. You look at some of the plays they made in the second half, this was a defense that was just hammering Garrett Green. They were hitting him every which way, and West Virginia's offense couldn't get much done. They could not move the ball, and it was pretty evident. You look at the ability to throw the football, Penn State thrived in that category, and West Virginia didn't exactly do that. So I think when you're looking at the difference between these two teams, I think West Virginia, even though Penn State averaged 7.3 yards per play, this is a defense that is much better than we think. I think that this is a group that plays really well together, and they just, it's almost like at times bend don't break, but also at times they can be disruptive. And Penn State's kind of exactly what West Virginia needs their defense to be. Penn State is that defense that will not bend. They don't bend. They just simply don't give up yards. They don't give up touchdowns, and they don't give up anything. And that's what West Virginia wanted, and that was the difference here. Is Penn State can shut down offenses, and West Virginia is eventually bends a little bit too much. So this is a team in Penn State that has big goals for a reason, and you saw some really good things right off the bat. Now, capitalizing and putting more points on the board is probably one of the things that you can do to get better, and your quarterback can help. And I'm saying Drew Allar was good, and I think that you're looking at a guy who will make this offense better, make this program better, but you're also looking at a guy who can help his team put more points on the board because field goals are fine, but against certain teams like Michigan and Ohio State, that won't get the job done. You will not be able to win football games by kicking field goals against Michigan. And that's saying that with a defense like Penn State's. But Drew Aller is one of those players that can make an impact. We talked about the first touchdown pass. We know he can make big time throws. And I mean, he had a good game, 325 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I'm not trying to tell you that he didn't have a good game. He's a problem. He's a good player. He will make an impact on this team right off the bat. He will be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And based off of what I've seen already, he has the talent to do that. But that I guess if you're trying to nitpick what to, because nobody's perfect in week one. There's no such thing as being perfect. And if you're going to pick something that Penn State needs to get better at, it's putting more points on the scoreboard when you're close to the end zone. It's not settling for field goals inside of the 20. That shouldn't be a thing, and finding ways to do that. Now on the flip side, West Virginia's Garrett Green, his numbers passing weren't great, nor were his numbers rushing, but there were some times where he made some pretty impressive plays. His athleticism was on full display, and you saw a reason why he could be really exciting in the Big 12 this year. West Virginia has a lot to play for this year. They have a lot to compete for, and their quarterback embodies that. Now, the combination of Green and CJ Donaldson has the potential to be really exciting. It was fun to see CJ Donaldson back on a football field again, 90 yards and one touchdown for him. And I think that this group could be a fun group to watch. It's just a matter of how many games can they win if they're not as talented as everyone else, because they're going to play talented teams in the Big 12. So we'll see. I think that you went against a Penn State team that was simply just better than you, more talented than you, and we just saw that in the result. There's probably nothing that West Virginia could have done to win this game. There wasn't anything that anyone expected them to do to be able to upset Penn State, and you saw that. Keandre Lambert Smith torched West Virginia's defense for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, and there's 4 catches. Curtis Jacobs on the defensive side of the ball led the rate. Chop Robinson had a good game too. This is again, this game went exactly how we expected it to go, but I think both teams have things they can build upon and work towards next week. They can get better, they can find ways to improve, and then they can work on building momentum off the things that went well, because there were good things that happened for both. There were bad things that happened to both. But Penn State has bigger goals. Penn State is looking to make a college football playoff appearance, win the Big Ten, and they took a good step forward to make that happen in 2023.